Hey everybody, today's video is going to be a piece that I'm doing on a species of bird that's very threatened, and it's known as the Greater Sage Grouse. Now, this Greater Sage Grouse, just to give you a little backstory on these animals, they once inhabited 13 western US states and 3 Canadian provinces, also known as the sage lands. Now, these birds depend greatly on sagebrush. This is what they eat, they nest in, because they nest on the ground, so they nest under the sage. And so the sage is definitely a very integral part of their life. But due to oil and gas development, conversion of land to agricultural uses, overgrazing by livestock, climate change, human development, these species, which, like I said earlier, they once inhabited over 13 different western states, now only inhabit about half of their historic range. Okay, so these are, they're going down. So in today's painting, I just wanted to go ahead and just bring to attention this particular species. Now, I live in East Tennessee. I've not actually seen, I've not been out to the sage lands of Western US. I've not seen these birds, but because I get to learn about them, I feel like it's my job to educate you guys too. So when I start a piece like this, I try to learn as much as I can, and I will go online, I will read several articles and try to get a really good understanding of whatever species that I happen to be painting. And today's obviously is the Greater Sage Grouse. And I have seen them in zoos, I have seen them, but I've never seen them in their natural environment. So I will watch videos online. I will watch videos so I can understand how these birds move, what their habitat looks like, how they interact with each other and their environment, and just so I can get a better understanding of the subject I'm fixing to paint. So these are also the largest grouse species in the United States. They're huge. And I'm a little bit more familiar with like ruffed grouse. That's what we would see in the eastern United States, and in the woodlands of the eastern United States. But these are plain animals. These live on the grasslands and the grasslands or sage lands of western US. And so again, completely different from what I'm used to. And I look forward to being able to hopefully one day go out and see these birds in person. But yeah, that's what today's piece is about. And I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of how I have to research things and to understand them a little bit better. This is the first of 2 parts. And I will take the painting to the past the blocking in stage. So basically you'll know very much what this painting is going to look like by the end of this video. But the next video is where I get to show you how I do all the feathers and all the unique aspects of these particular birds. And so we'll get to that next time. But today we're going to get to the blocking in stage and the compositional aspects of the painting. I'm working on a canvas. It's kind of an unusual size for me. It's a 16 by 40. I wanted a long, low kind of canvas just to kind of get the feeling of a flat plane, okay? And having that lowness, and I wanted the birds to seem taller, to be as big or bigger than life. So that's part of the compositional aspect that went into this piece. So yeah, I just want to go ahead and throw that out there too. So yeah, thanks for joining me. If you're here because you want to see some painting videos, maybe learn a little bit about wildlife and other aspects of what I do as a painter, yes, thank you for joining me. I am Suzanne Barrett Justis, and I'm glad you're here. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing and give me some thumbs up if you like today's video, and we'll go ahead and jump into this piece. So for me, anytime I start a new piece, especially of a wildlife that I'm not really that knowledgeable about, I do my research. And I hit the internet, I start reading about them, I start watching videos, anything I can to just inform me about that particular species I'm getting ready to paint. Now, I found these sage grouse to be fascinating, and I'm pretty sure some Native Americans even use the tails and the feathers as part of their headdresses because these birds truly are fascinating. But I have to do a lot of research, and this is where it usually starts for me. So I started with the sky. Since I was doing the sage, the sage lands of the Northwest, I wanted to capitalize on the colorful sky, and so that's why I'm laying this in like this. And I'm doing a lot of softening up with a synthetic sable, just to give it a soft effect. Now, this is where the fun was for me, and I wanted to be able to at least make the presence of man known in this piece by putting this, I guess you would call it one of the pipeline factories of whether it's the gas or oil production. So, I just wanted to put it out there make it one of the taller items that you saw out on the plain. Interesting fact, one of the other things that has affected the population of this particular species is the fact that a lot of the predators of these birds will stand up and mount themselves up high on some of these towers and pipelines. That gives them a visual advantage in finding the prey, that being these sage grouse, and that has definitely affected the population of these birds. Obviously, the pipelines didn't always exist there, and so this introduction of a human thing, if you will, has affected the populations in more ways than you can know. Now, I'm just putting in the sage, and the sage is so important to the birds. And that's what I'm laying in here. And I'm just trying to get that appearance of sage grass and sagebrush. The very specific grounds in which these birds display is called a lek, and that is where the male birds do this interesting dance. And you can see they just blow up their chest like this and have these bright yellow patches showing. And they're odd, right? It's a little bit different, but this sound can be heard for a long distance, and it's to attract the hens. But one of the problems is that the refineries or these gas production factories and such create such a din of noise that it kind of drowns out the call of some of these birds, which too, again, affects the population of the birds because they're not breeding. Okay, so I'm using my little nice fun sword brush here to do these spiky tails and just getting everything in here. Now here you got to have those bright yellow throat patches showing. And so I try to get the birds, the male birds, in any angle I can get, just to show just all the different aspects of them off. And now I'm doing the hens. And again, this is just the blocking in stage, and all the fun detail will come in the next video where you'll get to learn how to paint all kinds of specialized feathers. So yes, stay tuned. Be sure to come back for the next video because I know it'll be a fun piece to watch. Blocked in, and you can see there's no detail yet on the actual sage grouse or here at all, but you got the feel, right? You can see that there's Two males strutting their stuff, doing their thing, and the hens are just kind of taking it all in. So here we are off to the races on this sage grouse piece, and I'm enjoying it so far. So the next video will show basically all the detail that goes into laying in, you know, the feathers and all the fun stuff. So yeah, but I already have a pretty good feeling. This composition is pretty pleasing to me. I will say that I'm pretty confident that my background is complete. I don't have to put a lot of detail back there. And I think the detail that I did set in makes a little bit of a statement. It does have the actual sage that these birds are known to live by and near as part of their, you know, they actually eat the sage. They're one of the few species that can. So this is why, you know, the niche that these animals live in is so important. They must have the sage. And yeah, so here you go. This is the blocked in stage of the sage grouse piece. The canvas itself, I believe, I'm not sure. I want to say it's 16 by 40. It's kind of an unusual size, but well, I hope you found this video to be enjoyable. I hope you also have learned a little bit about the sage grouse, or the greater sage grouse. And yeah, this is where I'm leaving off right now with the piece. And again, you can see it's got the compositional aspect that I've kind of put in here. It just is lacking the detail, but we'll get to that on the next video. I really had fun with the sky. Now, basically, the background in this piece is done. I am probably not going to change too much of it. And you can see I tried to incorporate some of the things that, you know, obviously I put the sage in here because that's an integral part of this bird's life, right? And its environment. So I have the sage grouse back here, but I also kind of put something, and I'm not trying to get all crazy and political too much, but, you know, I do have some of the gas and oil, you know, refineries and where the pipelines are going in and stuff like that, just to kind of suggest that obviously the human encroachment on their environments is what is causing the down or decline of these populations of this particular species of birds. And something interesting that I did learn about the sage grouse, it's considered an umbrella species as far as conservation efforts, because by conserving or protecting these birds, we're also helping other species that also depend on the sage grouse. There's other species of birds, and I'm trying to think of the other species that I learned about, but there were several other birds that also, by protecting the sage land and the sage grouse, will also increase the numbers of those particular birds as well. So there you go. So I hope you did enjoy today's video, and we'll check back with the next video when I finish this piece up. And yeah, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And if you like more in-depth types of videos, please check out my Patreon channel, and I'd like to see you there. And again, thanks so much for coming by and checking in and watching today's video. And if you have any questions or anything that I've covered here, please leave it in the comment section and I'll get to you. So thanks again, and from Kingsport, Tennessee, bye.